This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Wednesday, February 10th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look different today and in the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. We begin our broadcast with a decision by the South African government to pause the rollout of AstraZeneca's COVID vaccine. Concerns over its efficacy is only adding to the mistrust of vaccines by the public. David Doyle has more.
As a South African nurse, Lorata Mtunzi sometimes vaccinates others, but she says there's no way she'll take a COVID-19 shot, even though experts say it's safe.
Hell no. We will not be taking this vaccine until there are clinical trials that assures healthcare workers that indeed this vaccine is safe.
Data has shown an AstraZeneca vaccine, 1 million doses of which arrived in South Africa a week ago, offers minimal protection against mild to moderate infection by the dominant variant in the country. That's prompted the government to pause a rollout of the vaccine, and it's only added to Mtunzi's scepticism. But experts say the AstraZeneca vaccine should still protect against severe disease and death from COVID-19. Professor Shabir Mahdi, a vaccinologist at the University of Witwatersrand who led South Africa's analysis of the AstraZeneca vaccine, says the shot still has a role to play in Africa and across the world.
It doesn't make any sense to have 1 million doses of vaccine available to us, which are known to be safe, and not to start distributing it, at least for high-risk groups.
But mistrust is still high. The Indaba Nurses Union, to which Mtunzi belongs, has advised its 17,000 members to boycott the vaccine, and a poll by the University of Johannesburg suggested a third of South Africans would refuse it. On the streets of Johannesburg, Thato Melete says she's one of them.
No, I will not be taking the vaccine. I am not comfortable at all about it, and I will not advise anyone to go for it unless you're brave enough, but for me, it's a no.
Such concerns are not uncommon on a continent where big pharmaceutical companies have run dubious clinical trials in the past, resulting in deaths. In South Africa, trust in the government's handling of the pandemic has also deteriorated over perceived failures such as a shortage of protective equipment and allegations of corruption in COVID-19 relief contracts.
That was David Doyle of Reuters reporting. At least 10 people died in an overnight attack on a village in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The attackers who invaded a village near the border with Uganda are believed to be part of an allied democratic forces, a Ugandan Islamist group. Local authorities confirmed the army has been deployed to the region. Last week, the group committed a similar massacre that killed at least 12 people in the nearby village of Mabule. For disabled couriers traveling between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, 8 months of border closures meant work dried up, and now restrictions threaten to price many out of their jobs. Okwi Oko explains.
Perched on a supersized tricycle and laden with mangoes, courier Claude Kalwira traverses a stretch of no man's land between Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo. His disability, he lost his right arm in a car accident when he was young, entitles him to a permit to travel in and out of DRC tax-free. But an 8-month border closure last year saw business dry up, threatening one of the only ways Kalwira and around 200 other couriers can make an income.
If I can't find work here at the border, I can't find work anywhere because I'm disabled. Being a courier is vital for us because as long as we work as couriers, we'll never go hungry. We'll be able to feed our families.
Borders reopened in November and Kalwira is back on the road. But a new testing requirement means most, like Amani Elisha, have not been able to benefit.
We don't know what to do anymore. We don't know what will happen to us. We know that the borders have reopened, but we have no one to help us or guide us through this problem.
Rwanda provides a limited number of free tests. Kawira and around 60 of his colleagues are the recipients. For the remaining 140 couriers, many of whom earn less than $20 a day, a $40 swab is too prohibitive a cost, preventing them from paying their own way.
Okwi Oko of Reuters filed that report. Ghana's parliament is halting most business for 3 weeks following a COVID-19 outbreak among lawmakers and staffers. Speaker Alban Bagbin told Parliament Tuesday that 17 of the 275 legislators and 151 of 500 staff members contracted the coronavirus. The Speaker also urged other lawmakers and Parliament staffers to get tested for COVID-19 if they have yet to do so. Bagbin says the decision to suspend activities was made after speaking with Parliament's leadership. He said Parliament's Appointments Committee would continue meeting with nominees for the ministry posts in the administration of President Nana Akufo-Addo, who was re-elected in December. Ghana confirmed more than 72,000 COVID-19 infections and 472 deaths, according to the latest data from Johns Hopkins University. There's a growing outcry in Uganda from relatives of missing opposition supporters who were detained by security forces ahead of last month's election. As Halima Thumani reports from Kampala, the government confirms 44 people have gone missing since November and that most are from the opposition National Unity Party.
On November 23rd, Mary Namuyanja's husband, Lukwago Martin, was picked up by Ugandan military personnel at his fish stall in Bugolobi Market. More than 2 months later, Namuyanja says she still cannot find her husband, even after searching police stations and hospitals.
The children ask me about their father every day. I don't know what to tell them. I have a little one. They are always falling ill. I have no money to take care of them. Please help me. Wherever he is, bring him back. If he committed any crime, let them take him to court so I can know what's going on. But I don't even know where he is.
A week after Martin was taken away, relatives say security personnel picked up 2 mechanics around the market, including Nanyonga Aaron's husband, Narumoso Vincent. She says he's still missing.
We are in so much pain. The government should help us. My husband committed no crime. He wasn't among the protesters. They found him working on a motorcycle.
On the day of Martin's detention, 10 other men in the market were also rounded up, including Okumu Charles. He says they were forced into a Toyota Hiace and tortured before some were let go. He says some, like Martin, were picked up because of their association with the opposition National Unity Platform Party, NUP.
Because he was a member of NUP and he was always moving to our councillor who stood on the NUP ticket. They were always together. The ones who were arrested in the garage, the mechanic Vincent, he was the NUP mobilizer in the Bugolobi area. The other young man, Agaba Ronald, who was arrested, was a strong supporter of NUP and he didn't miss any of the NUP meetings.
After earlier denying the kidnappings, Uganda's Internal Minister General Jeje Odong on Thursday released a list of 44 people reported missing around the country. Major General Paul Lokech, the Deputy Chief of Uganda Police, says he has instructed the heads of criminal investigations and intelligence to give him the names of the 44.
And in any of the cells of our security agencies, and I've also instructed that those people arrested should, if they feel they were a threat to security, must be brought before the courts.
As the government investigates, Ugandan media reports say relatives of opposition supporters continue to report their loved ones missing after they were taken away by authorities. Halima Athmani for VA News, Kampala.
Sudan's Prime Minister has named a veteran Darfur rebel group leader as finance minister as a part of a broad cabinet reshuffle. Jibril Ibrahim was handed the key ministry at a time when Sudan is grappling with an economic crisis. Abdallah Hamdok, who leads Sudan's transitional government, has struggled to push through reforms and secure foreign funding seen as crucial to easing the economic woes and bolstering Sudan's transition to democracy. The country has witnessed protests over the state of the economy in recent days. In our tech report, Wikipedia celebrated its 20th anniversary earlier this year. The free volunteer-produced internet encyclopedia is now the 7th most popular website globally and still growing. Africa 54's technology correspondent Paul Ndiho spoke to Pamela Ofori-Boateng, a young Wikipedia volunteer responsible for adding and editing content from Ghana on Wikipedia.
Pamela Ofori-Boateng, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having me.
You've been a part of Wikipedia. Wikipedia is celebrating 20 years this year. Can you bring us up to speed? What have you guys been up to, and what do you do in particular in Ghana?
I have been a Wikipedia Wikipedian editor for the past 3.5 years, and I'm happy that I'm part of a community that is ensuring that accurate information is made available to everybody across the world, irrespective of where you come from. And celebrating our 20 years anniversary means so much to me. I put content about Ghana and Africa on Wikipedia to help preserve our history, our culture, and things that are missing out in history just because we are not able to preserve them. I ensure that if there is any phenomenon or there is any person doing something amazing that needs to be documented, I make sure I document that information, especially when it comes to women. There are lots of high achieving women in Ghana and in Africa, but most of the times when you try to look for information about them, it's either very scanty or you don't find anything about them online. So these are the things that excite me. When I find such people or such women, I make sure that I get every information about them and then update it on Wikipedia so that it makes it easier for people who want information about such women to get that information and also to give them that visibility for the things that they do. And I also teach young people to also learn how to use the platform, especially for their research work, because most lecturers do not allow Wikipedia in their classrooms just because students do not know how to use the platform well. So whenever they present answers and then the lecturers get to know that it's from Wikipedia, they do not accept it. So we show them or we teach them how to use the platform effectively.
What does it take for one to be on Wikipedia?
You don't need any qualification. Educational background doesn't really matter. All you need is the willingness and the passion to say that, hey, African lack knowledge, or African lack information, or African is losing history. I need to do something about it. Then you can be part of the platform by just creating an account, just like when you want to create an account on Facebook, create your account, get your username, and then you just ask someone to help you to learn how to edit, which can take like 30 minutes, it can take like 40 minutes, and then you are good to go as a Wikipedia editor.
Earlier, you talked about how important it is for you to profile women, especially unrepresented women on Wikipedia. Can you speak more about that?
Wikipedia is one of the biggest websites in the world. When you're accounting from the top 5 or top 3 websites in the world, Wikipedia is part, and it has information about everything around the world. So why is it that there are not enough information about women? So because of that, I decided, or I went on a personal mission to ensure that women in Ghana or Africa are represented online, because they have done so much to contribute to the economy of countries. They have done so much in business. They have done so much in health. So I decided that then I have to ensure that everything that I do on the platform is geared towards advancing women, exposing them to the outside world, and making sure that their legacy is preserved on the platform, so that younger girls would have, mentors to look up to. When they go online, they don't only see male figures, but they also see women figures that they can actually, follow.
You train young people how to use Wikipedia. You go into schools, you go into universities. Maybe speak to that.
as part of the Wikimedia community in Ghana, we embarked on an initiative to ensure that university students understand how to use the platform. The resistance by lecturers or professors is not because of the platform, it is because the students do not know how to use the platform effectively. Okay, so we embarked on this initiative where we engage university students to let them know the importance of Wikipedia in their academic life and how they can use references or cite references over there accurately to support their research work.
Thank you so much for your time.
That was Africa 54 tech correspondent Paul Diho speaking to Pamela Ofori-Boateng, a Wikipedia volunteer in Accra, Ghana. Wednesday is day 2 of the historic second impeachment trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump. Senators will have to decide if Trump incited the deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol building a month ago by urging his supporters to confront lawmakers as they were certifying that Democrat Joe Biden had defeated Trump in the 2020 election. VOA's congressional correspondent Catherine Gibson has more.
Last month's deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol now leading to a first in U.S. history. A former president under trial in the U.S. Senate.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
Trump charged with inciting that mob to riot.
When you catch somebody in a fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules.
After falsely claiming he won the 2020 election and telling his supporters to fight the certification of Electoral College results for Joe Biden.
The gravest charges ever brought against a president of the United States in American history.
More than 200 people have now been charged in connection with the January 6 riot, a day lawmakers warned will be an inspiration for domestic extremism and presidential abuse of power.
This cannot be the future of America. We cannot have presidents inciting and mobilizing mob violence against our government and our institutions because they refuse to accept the will of the people.
The U.S. National Guard says that by mid-March, it will have spent almost $500 million in additional security for the U.S. Capitol since the January 6 attack. In the trial's first day, Democrats laid out their argument for Trump's guilt.
We will prove with overwhelming evidence that President Trump is singularly and directly responsible for inciting the assault on the Capitol.
And argued Trump must face consequences even though he is no longer president.
Presidents can't inflame insurrection in their final weeks and then walk away like nothing happened.
Conviction requires a 2/3 vote of the U.S. Senate. Assuming all 50 Democrats vote to convict, that means 17 Republican senators would also have to find Trump guilty. If Trump is convicted, senators will vote again to decide if he is barred from ever again running for office. His lawyers argue that was the true reason for what they called a politically motivated impeachment.
For a great many Americans see this process for exactly what it is: a chance by a group of partisan politicians seeking to eliminate Donald Trump from the American political scene and seeking to disenfranchise 74 million plus American voters and those who dare to share their political beliefs and vision of America.
The trial, which resumes Wednesday with 16 hours for each side to present arguments and evidence, will run through at least Sunday. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Washington.
Myanmar's police are cracking down on people protesting the country's military coup in the capital, Naypyidaw, by firing warning shots, rubber bullets, and a water cannon. At least 2 demonstrators are reported to be in serious condition from Tuesday's confrontation with what are believed to be gunshot wounds. VOA's senior diplomatic correspondent Cindy Sen reports.
Demonstrators took to the streets in Myanmar's capital for the 4th day in a row, defying restrictions imposed by the military junta aimed at stopping massive protests against the overthrow of the elected civilian government, including leader Aung San Suu Kyi. An unnamed physician who treated demonstrators at a hospital told VOA that at least 2 of them sustained what he believes were gunshot wounds, one to the head, the other to the chest. State Department spokesperson Ned Price again called on the military junta in the country formerly known as Burma to relinquish power and respect the rights of peaceful protesters.
What I would say broadly is that we strongly condemn violence against demonstrators. All individuals in Burma have rights to freedom of expression, association, peaceful assembly, including for the purposes of peaceful protest.
The massive protests defying restrictions are in line with one analyst's expectations.
But in terms of the Myanmar people's sort of spirit and desire to not have this military coup and to have some restoration of democracy, no, I'm not surprised.
Other experts say there is little that the United States can do to influence Myanmar's generals because the head of the junta, Min Aung Hlaing, is already under U.S. sanctions.
He was sanctioned under the Global Magnitsky Act along with other senior generals in 2019 for their ethnic cleansing campaign against the Rohingya. So how do you sanction somebody who's already banned from owning property in the U.S., traveling to the U.S., or doing business with Americans?
Experts say with so little leverage on Myanmar, the best option for the U.S. is to work closely with other countries.
So the U.S. would want to work with democracies in Europe, Canada, Japan, maybe some of the Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Indonesia, with India also. So there's definitely going to be a need for multilateralism here because there's no way the U.S. can really affect much policy change in Myanmar by itself.
The State Department's Ned Price said Myanmar has been a constant topic in America's engagement with allies around the world this week. Cindy Sain, VOA News.
Across global cities, big and small, the coronavirus pandemic has forced a shutdown of cultural life, but that's changing in the Russian capital, where a mass vaccination program is in full swing. Charles Maines reports from Moscow.
In the Russian capital, life before the pandemic appears no longer a dream. Moscow recently lifted restrictions on operating hours and crowds for bars and nightclubs, giving businesses and performers who fuel the city's cultural nightlife a chance to get back to work.
It's been a hard year for the music industry, and it's not over yet. And not everyone has been able to make it. Some have to get a real job.
Behind the changes, an improving epidemiological picture, say city authorities, powered by lower infection rates and Russia's Sputnik V vaccine. A mass vaccination campaign is underway, one that extends far beyond hospitals and clinics. City residents can now line up for inoculations at places like the luxury goods GUM shopping center just off Red Square.
It gets a lot of people coming through it, and we know several other shopping malls that are doing the same. It's very popular with city residents.
It's now up to the government to show Moscow's progress is both real and replicable. President Vladimir Putin has ordered governors to expand the vaccine rollout nationwide. Early data suggests regional distribution has been sluggish. Still, Moscow is racing ahead to prove to Russians and the world that a return to normal is within reach.
I have decided to get vaccinated because it's free, and because this month we are going to resume face-to-face classes at the university.
Even the city's legendary theater scene is getting into the act, holding vaccinations during the day and performances at half capacity for now by night.
We, of course, hoped that our friends, family, and supporters of the theater would come, and that's what happened. They show up not only to see the performances, but also to get vaccinated.
Only authorities clearly prefer some crowds more than others. Even as the new city rules take effect, police have cracked down on protests in support of the imprisoned opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Thousands have been detained, and several key Navalny associates are now under house arrest for violating sanitary norms amid the pandemic. These days in Moscow, crowds are again welcome, so long as they're dancing to the right beat. Charles Maines for VOA News, Moscow.
When Cameroonian golf champion Isan Lareb Amang lost his legs and most of his fingers to meningitis in 2018, many thought his life in the sport was over. But thanks to donors, he was able to get prosthetics that allowed him to return to the game and become the only disabled professional golfer in West Africa. Moki Edwin Kinzeka has this report by Anne Nzwako in Yaoundé.
As a child, Issa Nareb Amang liked play at his neighborhood golf course. He quickly went from being a ball boy to a caddy, and then from playing golf to becoming a champion of Cameroon and West Africa. But during a 2018 tournament, Amang caught meningitis, went into a coma and septic shock, and had most of his fingers and both his legs amputated.
I have never given up. It was complicated. It was very complicated to have the prosthetics, to be standing. But it was possible because people put their hands together. They have contributed.
Thanks to golf federations and other donors, Amang got prosthetic limbs and was able to get back on the golf course. Pharmacist Ude Bahunui was one of Amang's donors.
A while ago, while he was sick, I had doubts, but as he was abroad, he was sending his pictures, he was showing his training. Little by little, I became confident that he was going to make it through.
Amang did recover and became the only disabled professional golfer in West Africa.
Je ne peux pas dire que c'est un sentiment, c'est une vie.
What I'm feeling? I can't say it's a feeling. It's a life I'm taking back. Playing golf is the sport of my life, and the feeling floods me because I have no way out except to play golf.
Amang's willpower to keep playing was lauded by Cameroon's main disabled association, Handy Plus. But the group said more state support was needed for all those with reduced mobility, many of whom are forced to live behind closed doors due to lack of help and stigma.
He was fortunate to receive solidarity from his friends. Those who have no friends, what are they going to do? I think that at some point the state will have to take in hand the responsibility for the disabled. Really, it must be taken.
As for Amang, he is training for upcoming competitions with the aim of winning Cameroon a gold medal at the next Paralympic Games. For Anne Zwanke in Yaoundé, Moki Edwin Kinzeka for VOA News.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington,